welcome to our podcast. I'm really excited to be here today. We're going to be, unearthing some insights and, of course, getting some of the best technology minds here. So today I have with me Brian Elcock, the VP of Global Engineering. And, one of the things I'm really excited about, Brian, is to get to know you. So welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. I know Brian actually, just got into the country, and I'm hoping that I'm going to keep you, honest and awake through this podcast of ours. But, just to get us warmed up and teed off, one of the things that I think is much spoken about is leadership. And, I actually want to start off with, just get some perspectives about your leadership style. What really works when you're managing global teams across shores?
Sure. Yeah. And thanks for acknowledging the jet lag. I think I'm doing okay, but we'll see how it goes. And so, my leadership style, particularly globally, has really been one focused on empathy. I think it's one of the things that I've learned throughout my career is to have empathy for people. So teams, vendors and clients and everything there. I think if you can understand where they're coming from and try to put yourself in their shoes, it's really helped me relate to people and be able to, help inspire and lead those teams.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I cannot agree with you more. I think, irrespective of geographies, I think empathy is like really the common thread, I think, that drives and connects people. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Brian. One of the other things is, you today manage and lead high-performing teams. And this is not just specifically in a particular region. You manage teams across US, you manage teams across India, potentially in other parts of the world as well. So, are there any guiding principles that really, from your experience, has worked when you're managing global teams?
I think the key word there is team, right? And so I think when people understand that we are a team and that we're in this together, that we have each other's backs and we're all there for the same goal, I think that's when things really work. If you're able to articulate a vision and are able to articulate how that vision is going to affect the people that you're serving or your users or whatever you want to call them, I think that common alignment there really helps people and helps you become a real team where you can deliver things and improve your velocity and the high performing part of the whole thing that we talk about. Yeah. I think it works that way.
Oh, that's great. And if, just to maybe double click a little bit on that, Brian, and I know we have spoken and you've had to manage your clock around the clock, right? So just as you do that, as a leader and you have teams spread across geographies, any best practices specifically on, when you bring teams together, how do you get those overlaps from, especially with the agile teams, they need to kind of have those, let's say, those daily stand-up meetings. How do you kind of imbibe that kind of culture within the teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think one thing that works is to make sure that your teams understand that you are there for them and that yes, the team has to sacrifice for some things, but I will too. I'm just another part of this team. I'm here to help where I can and to sort of, remove obstacles and make sure that we can all work together. Being agile in a global environment is a challenge at times. There's a lot to being together physically and to try and, scale that across time zones can be a challenge. But, I think if you have, consistent process, you have transparency into what you're doing, you can surface up the information, make sure that people across the organization have access to what they need. I think that it really works when you're able to do that.
Very interesting for sure. On that note, I thought it's only apt that we kind of move into a topic I know that's quite dear to you. That's really product management and innovation. So, in today's rapid, fast-paced environment, how do you kind of drive that mindset across teams, especially when you're trying to build products, 7,000 miles away, and still kind of keep the essence of what I would say the core of the organization?
Yeah, to really know what you're building, you have to know what the user wants and needs. And so I'm a huge fan of the user experience. And so, we hear user experience sometimes and we think, design or what it is on the screen. But But really what I want to know is, what is the user experiencing? What are they feeling? Like, how is this affecting their day? It doesn't matter how pretty it is. It doesn't matter how technically sound or progressive it is. If it's not making that person's life better, then why are you doing it? What does it matter? And so from a product perspective, truly understanding what the user wants and needs out of this system, out of these things that we're doing, really helps us drive to that common, kind of vision that I talked about earlier.
That's interesting. And Brian, as you spoke about product, how important is it that the product management is sitting closer to the customer or the end customer, wherever they are? Is that an important principle that you kind of adopt?
I mean, it's ideal, that there's proximity there, that your product teams and really your engineering teams even, have access to users so that you can understand and back to that empathy, right? And understand what they're feeling and experiencing. I think that sometimes we put these layers in, and it's sort of, over my career, we've added more product into different things, and it's really detached in some ways the engineers from the end result and what the effect is. If I had a preference, yes, proximity, to the users for the entire team, I think is important. In an organization that's remote, or that, we serve people across the world or across the country or whatever, there are ways to still have an understanding of that experience, really get a voice of that customer. And so, yes, it is important for the proximity, but, there are ways to do things in our connected world today, right? So,
yeah, no, thank you. Thanks, Brian. And that kind of brings to the other interesting topic, and I know there's a lot of conversations happening about that. Technology, of course, is rapidly evolving, and AI seems to be the buzzword. I think every conversation we go to, it's like an AI first approach. But how do you think leaders and teams, what trends do they need to watch out for, or really get themselves up to speed with everything that's happening around the world today?
Yeah, I mean, AI, right? I mean, no company in 2025, no organization in 2025, that's going to be successful isn't doing something with AI, of course. And so, you need to encourage leaders and engineers and, product management and QA, and they need to understand how it affects literally every aspect of what they do. But I think something that's important along with that is kind of the governance that goes around it, right? And so I think a lot of people, they hear AI and they think, ChatGPT is my best friend. I don't need to think about how I write this email anymore. But they don't think about what they're putting into these systems sometimes. And so the governance around that, and the idea that you need to have some structure there really is important. And I think also along with that governance, I think there's this idea that AI is just sort of magical, right? And it is in many ways. There's a lot of cool things that it does, and it's pretty amazing. But the old adage of garbage in, garbage out. If I have this model that I want to have affect what I'm doing in the organization, I have to have structure around that. I have to train that model. I have to kind of massage what's happening there. It's not entirely magic. There is some governance that you need to put around that. And so I would encourage people, as they are doing kind of the default thing that we all do with AI, which is, which service or which model am I, playing with these days. Think about how you would implement that, to both secure assets of an organization, as well as, have the structure around what I'm specifically doing. So I think those things are important in the tech landscape today.
Yeah. And just curious, Brian, do you think AI is today at its infancy? In many ways, it's childlike, it's learning. Do you feel like, there's a lot more to be uncovered as we move along, today? And because things are changing rapidly.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, are we still really at the tip of the iceberg, or I think we're further along?
I think maybe all of us have been surprised at how quickly it's happened, and when you look at the tech a little deeper, you see that, the efficiency of some of these models and the algorithms that, drive these things, like, can it really get better? The answer is yes, of course, right? And is it, I don't know if it's in its infancy or if it's a teenager or if it's, whatever it is, but I think that it's surprised a lot of us and sort of how quickly it's happened and how complicated or how, I guess, complete the offerings are. And so I do think that at some point it'll become a little more commoditized. And so kind of the competition between the different types of services, the different way you do things, maybe that'll tone down a little bit. But I think it's just been such an amazing thing as a technologist to watch. I look at people like my father, I can ask ChatGPT to do this, or I can do whatever, and it's just been amazing how it's affected so many people in so many ways.
Yeah, no, I cannot agree with you more. I love the way you said, it's really commoditized. I think knowledge is really accessible to everyone, irrespective of demography. I think that's really the key. But maybe pivoting a little bit, just as we think about scaling global teams, and you've done that multiple times now, whether it's product teams, technology teams. What are the things about, really, is there like a playbook that you typically have adopted when you have done this? Is that something that's really worked for you when you've kind of set up these teams and scale them?
Every team is different. Every company is different. We're all individuals. We're all unique, and we're all people. I think really the only thing that I would say is common in my approach, to kind of leading teams and working with teams is to be kind, right? That's not something that we talk about a lot in leadership, and certainly not in technology and some of the cutthroat situations we find ourselves in. But what I've found is when teams understand that you are there with them, you're not there, to kind of drag them around and pull them in different directions. You're there with them in the fight together, I found that has been good in helping me develop relationships and relate to people better. I try to be sensitive, culturally. I'm an American, obviously, and so I have a certain perspective. People here in Bangalore would have a certain perspective, and people in other parts of India. I spent some time in Chandigarh, and that's yet another perspective, right? And so be sensitive to that. And I think when people know that you are there with them, I would say that's my playbook, right? Try and relate to people and be kind and pull each other up.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I love I think the aspect of empathy, and then you bring, being kind or kindness. I think essentials in, of what I would term as servant leadership, right? You very much with them, and I think everything you spoke about resonates with that, right? So, just maybe, one last question before I let you go, but one of the things with the, amazing experiences you've had working across shores, managing global teams, if there's one piece of advice that you would give aspiring, budding technologists today, what would that be?
You don't know as much as you think you know, maybe, and kind of, I think that's what's helped me understand that we're all people, right? We're all individuals, hopefully with common goals. And so understand that there's a lot more out there. There are people with different perspectives. And so if you can be patient with that and understand that and learn as much as you can wherever you are. I love coming to India. I love going to different places and learning about everyone's perspective because it opens my eyes, it opens my mind and helps me understand where people come from. And so I think as a technologist, I would look at maybe the more human aspect of it, and that'll, I think, help you relate better and be successful with teams.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Brian. I think really, I mean, the last, I would say, few minutes has been very insightful. I think just your humility and to how you concluded the humane aspect of how we spoke about everything from technology to product to AI. I think there's one common thread there, I think, which really binds all of us together, and that's really what you bring to the table. So thank you for that, Brian. Really enjoyed this conversation. I wish you have a wonderful stay here in Bangalore and the rest of India for your travels.